Episode 61, Are You Going to Kill Me Too? The leader of Panchen and Mabul entered Kion Magian. Nyung Paso, the leader of the Panchen church, had a good appearance and complexion, and had an intense eye glow that made it seem as if he could pierce a wall. He was a person who achieved great success in Ankian Dimagi, known as the greatest hero of Co, and was the absolute ruler of Co martial arts. There was a time when the blood religion was on par with the heavenly demon church in power, but now that it has passed over to Pancheongyo, its power has been relatively weakened and it cannot be compared to the heavenly demon church. This time, when he left Pancheongyo, he brought with him the 10 best demons representing the cult, the 10 great demons, and 100 elite blood warriors. That wasn't all. He brought with him all the sacred objects that were on his throne, including the sound bell and blood Buddha. I thought it would be safer to just keep him in a cage for the rest of his life and have him guarded by brought-in experts, but he never tried to leave his body. The person who guaranteed his safety within the heavenly demon church was Mabul Raven, who walked in with him. He was of short stature, about half that of an average adult. But it wasn't his height that made anyone in the world turn their head to look at him. It was because of his skin color. His entire body, including his face and hands, was golden. So, it gave the impression that the small golden Buddha statue was moving like a monk, and it was said to be because of the golden Great Lama technique he had mastered. The two walked the bloody path side by side until they reached the temple. First, the head of the Panchen church bowed politely and greeted him. I meet the master of Shinism and the lord of the world's martial arts world. Thank you for this invitation. GM Wu Jin, the heavenly demon, greeted him with a smile. Welcome, how many years has it been? It was a calm greeting, but every word seemed to fly into the ears of the Panchen religious leader. Even though it had no internal energy, the fact that it flew more powerfully than a horse with internal energy was a clear example of how high the level of the heavenly demon was. Although he was a proud leader of Panchen to anyone in the world, he was intimidated by Kionma. It seems like about 10 years have passed. How have you been? Thanks to your concern, I am safe. The leader of the Panchen church had decided that when he met the Kionma, he would never be defeated in a fight. But at this moment, this thought occurred to me. Why do we do such useless fighting? This time, GM Wu Jin's eyes turned to Mabul. Thank you for your hard work on the long journey. It was a pleasant journey to meet a close friend. When Mabul was about to add something, showing off his friendship with the leader of the Panchen cult, GM Wu Jin cut him off. It's late and you must have had a hard time coming, so let's go and rest for today and see you again on a brighter day. Okay then, I'll leave. The greeting was formal and brief. Originally, Kionma and Panchen religious leader were not close. This is because Pancheongyo had a close relationship with Parmesan, not Kion Magian, for generations. Of course, historically, there were several wars between the heavenly demon church and the blood religion. Since they were inherently incapable of becoming close friends, it was natural for the Parmejans fighting against Kion Magian to join hands with Pancheongyo. The leader of the Panchen church walked out of the Kionma hall with Mabul. Anyway, since the supreme being has come, I should at least treat him to a cup of tea. You're doing it too much. It's late at night. Then you should treat me better. In response to Mabul's dissatisfaction, the leader of Panchen said indifferently. Even if you don't fight back like that, you won't become friends with that religious leader. So stop it. You mean this? This is about your pride and honor. The leader of the Panchen church understood exactly what the Kionma had said. Mabul was sometimes good at saying things that touched people's emotions. I have a bad taste for saying things that don't need to be said to upset others. Let's go and look at the body first. Why don't you see me tomorrow? You must be tired, so go to sleep and see you tomorrow. Let's get some sleep. Then let's do it. Why is everyone so stubborn? Mabul took him to the place where the body was. The body of the soul mason was stored in a cold place like an ice warehouse, even coated with medication, to prevent it from rotting. The leader of Panchen immediately conducted an autopsy on the body. Mabul watched from the side with a curious face. The leader of the Panchen church examined the inside of the corpse with skillful hands. They touched his organs and veins one by one, smelled them, and injected energy into the cooled corpse. Eventually, the autopsy, which took quite a long time, came to an end. The 8 meridians were damaged and my heart suffered greatly. This is what happened when I continued to use the soul jutsu. Are you saying it's a coin attack? Are you saying no? The cause of death is coin immersion. However, I am sure that someone died fighting in the world that the subsoul mason opened up. Mabul's expression hardened. As expected, he was murdered by someone's hands. I'm sure. The problem is that he died even though he used the Seo Fonjutsu technique. Mabul shook his head. It's hard to believe. I wonder who would be capable of invading Seo Wonjin, killing Siofan, and then escaping. Then the leader of Puncheon pointed his finger to the sky. The question was whether the Kionma killed him. Then Mabul shook his head. We decided not. Siofan is the person who has the most power when dealing with political faction bastards. The religious leader did not normally dislike marriage. There is no way the religious leader killed him. Compared to the cautious Puncheon religious leader, Mabul mentioned the religious leader comfortably. It was because I was confident that he was not the leader of the cult. Then is there anyone else who is considered a beast? There is one person. Who is that? He is the cult leader's second son. For a moment, the expression of the Puncheon church leader hardened. I had no idea that the cult leader's son was being suspected of being an evil beast. But when I thought about it, I thought that since he was the son of a religious leader, he had the ability to do something like this. He didn't say a word about this the entire time. Although his stomach was boiling over having been dragged into such a dangerous situation, the leader of Puncheon showed no change in his emotions. If someone tripped and fell, he was the one who picked up a rock and got up, and he was the one who smiled until someone hit their head with a stone. Let's see you tomorrow, first of all. Seo De Ryong said to me as he was turning around after finishing his morning report. Are you okay? What do you mean? Now even Saoe is attacking Garkyu, right? Tell everyone to attack. I will. It's okay if I'm not the only one in that fight. I'm sorry, but since you're always there, you'll be called my right-hand man, right? Seo De Ryong held his head and pretended to be in pain. You said it would get dark when you learn martial arts, but it's still bright. Well, I thought it would get dark too, but to be honest, I enjoy learning martial arts. Isn't it better to learn martial arts, but isn't it better to use a sword? After a moment, Seo De Ryong spoke. I don't hate it. Not yet. Not yet? I think it's a sign that things will get better, right? If that happens, I think you'll have to cut off your right arm and save someone as a dark person. Where do I get someone as dark, perverse, and funny as you? Don't even dream of running away from me. I like it, though. At that time, Huang Cheongak's subordinate reported. The leader of Puncheon Church has arrived. Take it. Seo De Ryong said as he quickly left the office. Don't lose. Stay with me. Life is a struggle for everyone. This is something you've heard a lot. Are we starting to look alike already? Seo De Ryong left without looking back. After a while, the leader of Puncheon came inside. Meet the new foreigner. When I greeted him politely, the leader of the Puncheon Church smiled. Gongya Li, it's been a while. I saw it when I was young, but now I'm an adult. The leader is still correcting. Although he had a good-natured face and was smiling, the Puncheon religious leader was searching for me from the moment I entered. I heard you came. You must have a busy schedule, so why did you come to see me? There are eyes that can hear even from afar. Recently, the reputation of this scholar has reached our school. It's just a lie. To be humble. After exchanging formal greetings, I sat down with him. It seemed like the sect leader was greatly heartbroken by the death of the Sufamazan. He secretly mentioned his father and started talking about the Subsulmazan. You're probably trying to figure out something from every word of my answer. He was one of my favorite Masons. Who on earth killed him? Are you murdered? I heard that he died from a poison spell. At that moment, a ray of energy flowed from the eyes of the Puncheon cult leader. Originally, it would have been a secret, unmarked energy, but I could see that energy. At that moment, I knew I had a special ability. The intangible energy is visible to my eyes. Originally, it would have just been felt, but now it seemed like a haze. It wasn't just because of Shinan Jutsu or blood stabilization. Combining these two things gave me a new ability. It was not yet known whether it only works for blood religion martial arts or whether it also works for the energy of other warriors. Why are you laughing? It feels good to see you after so long. I feel good too. Even during this time, his energy was examining every nook and cranny of my body. After examining every inch of my body, I finally looked at my eyes. This is to check if a divine water such as blood-stabilizing water has entered the eye. However, it was impossible to find anything in my eyes that had been newly transformed by Shan'an Sul. The energy he released was returned to his eyes. It was truly amazing to see rather than feel. I guess I'll just go. That's too bad. Please wait a little longer. I saw your face, so it's okay. You shouldn't hold on to someone who is busy. The leader of Puncheon stood up. See you next time. Thank you for visiting. Thank you for the abilities I gained thanks to you. From before his return until now, the Puncheon religious leader has been generously giving to me. Of course, he didn't give it to me because he wanted it, but somehow, as fate would have it, he kept receiving something. So it's not that I don't like him. Mabul was waiting for the leader of the Puncheon church who left the Jiamujuk office. How was it? Gongya Li had absolutely nothing to do with the magic of souls. In order to subdue him in the space created by the soul, you would have to learn martial arts from Buddhism or Taoism to the extreme, or learn a similar level of martial arts, but there was no trace of that at all. Does that mean that sword dance is not a beast? Exactly. Are you sure? If you don't trust me, why did you call me all this far? I double-checked it because it was important, so don't feel bad. That was what he said, but Mabul didn't seem to completely believe it. I'm sure. Let's go. I will summon the 7 Megans, so please speak in front of them. That's it. You go and spread my word. It's the same thing anyway. Is that okay? What else is there to know? Mabul knew that the Puncheon religious leader was very dissatisfied with this trip to Zhongwan. So I didn't really recommend it anymore. Then let's do it. Mabul said goodbye and left. The look in Puncheon's eyes as he looked behind him was not pretty. There was another reason why he did not go to the meeting of the 7 Megans. This is because I had to lie not in front of one person, but in front of 7 people. The leader of Puncheon looked back at the place where the sword dance was held and repeated softly. How on earth did Gongya Li kill the nice soul mason? Surprisingly, he realized that the sword dance had killed the soul mason. However, for some reason, the leader of the Puncheon church did not speak honestly to Mabul. It was clearly a choice with a different intention than having to endure this much if they had forced to bring someone who did not want to come. The leader of Puncheon walked in the opposite direction from where Mabul disappeared. That night, Hyolkian Doma came to see me. He came to me right after finishing the 7 Mason meeting. For now, I am cleared of the charge of killing your Subsulmazan. He looked at me with a surprised expression. How on earth did you avoid the eyes of the Puncheon cult leader? Didn't I drink with the old man all night? It's not something I did. Hyolkian Doma shook his head. Indeed, you must have been born with the destiny of an ascending dragon. Otherwise, these things wouldn't be possible. The dragon is still far away. Now it has grown from a loach to a snake. Then what kind of dragon will you be, and what kind of dragon is this much of a snake? As I chuckled, Hyolkian Doma spoke as if warning. But it's too early to relax. Among the 7 Megans, there are some who do not believe in the words of the Puncheon cult. In particular, Mabul, who was my closest friend, seemed the most distrustful. Don't tell me you're close. Elder. Why? If you have any other thoughts like Mabul, please tell me. Then, Hyolkian Doma's expression hardened slightly. Why do you say that? I was just wondering how much it would hurt if the moment came when we were laughing with such good hearts and then pointing swords at each other. So, if there is something you don't like, please tell us right away. Don't just hold back and build up anger. From what you've seen so far, haven't I dealt with my shortcomings quite wisely? Please don't assume how I will come out and just tell me. After staring at me for a moment, Hyolkian Doma opened his mouth. Gongya Li. Yes. Unexpected words flowed from Hyolkian Doma's mouth. What if the opposite happens? What if you see that I am very displeased and inadequate? What if I am not suitable for your new magic? What if he looks fine and good now, but the more you look at him, the more he feels like an old-fashioned, boring person? What will you do then when he loses all his charm? Hyolkian Doma added with passionate eyes. Are you going to get rid of me too? Episode 62, Give me what I don't want to give. It was unexpected. He didn't know that Hyolkian Doma would ask him if he was going to kill him too. What should I say? After thinking about it for a while, my answer was this. My magic does not break the guest table, nor does it kill my friend. For a moment, Hyol Doma could not say anything. He looked at me with a complicated expression for a moment and then asked softly, "Am I your friend?" Yes. Even without needing to elaborate, he will know that this was not meant as a normal friend. What are you going to do then? I will also tell you comfortably. I will just tell you without paying attention or considering the elderly. I don't like it for this or that reason. You are so outdated. I'm so sick of it. Where has all that charm gone? Find out. We will put our heads together and find a way to please each other. What if I can't find a way? What if I still don't change? If it doesn't change even if you try, you can't do it. I have to move on from past memories. But you don't even try? Then we'll have to fight. No matter who did something wrong or what you're dissatisfied with, wouldn't it make you feel better if you beat each other up? Hyol Doma stared at me for a moment and then laughed loudly. Ha 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 ha. It was the most exhilarating laugh since I met him. He laughed like that for a while, then suddenly stopped laughing and said to me, "There is something I should change about what I said to you before." What is it? You said my life was full of bad luck. I don't think that's necessarily true. At this moment I heard clearly the sound of the door of his heart opening a little more. I will continue to listen to this sound. Hearing the sound of this door opening frequently from many people is the moment I grow, and it will become a weapon as important to me as the Kuwama gong. Wamugi, what sound are you hearing right now? Late at night, after Hyol Doma had left, there was an unexpected visitor. Surprisingly, he was the leader of Puncheon Church. What are you doing so late at night? I came because I have something to tell you. Please come in. I have something to talk about, so come here. As the surroundings darkened and then brightened, we found ourselves in a different space. It was the same magic attack that the Soul Mason had used many times. He also knew about this demonic skill of the blood religion. The head of Puncheon looked at me and asked meaningfully, "How is it? Doesn't this martial arts technique look familiar?" The leader of the Puncheon Church gave him a look telling him to be honest because he knew everything. This is my first martial arts experience. I guess not. Didn't you see this space when you were fighting the Soul Mason? What do you mean? Then, the expression of the Puncheon religious leader turned cold. You killed the Sub-Soul Mason in this space. I don't know what you're talking about. I snapped, but he continued to make his confident argument. Because he died in the space where the magic of seduction was performed, it looked as if he had died from a poison spell. You can't fool my eyes. Do you have any evidence? There is no evidence. I can't even guess how they did it. But it's clear that you killed him. Why do you think that? Because you can't read. I was secretly surprised. I never ignored the leader of the Puncheon sect, but I never thought he would believe that I killed the Soul Mason for this reason. This belief comes from the confidence to trust your own intuition. You killed the Soul Mason. I could die too because I can't read you. I had no idea that someone wiser than anyone else would make such a misjudgment. He really understood me accurately. I'm not trying to provoke you, so relax. Because I don't want to die in a place like this like the Sub-Soul Mason. Moreover, he did not overestimate his abilities. I'll say it again, you misunderstand. He ignored me and continued talking. There must be one reason why Siafan's hex didn't work. He must have learned the 9-fire demonic art. If you are so sure, why didn't you tell the Megans? There would have been an uproar if my father had told me that he had taught me the 9-fire demonic art without the Megans knowing. I heard that you have a particularly close relationship with Mabul. Where are your friends in Murim? We meet because we need it at that time. I guess the same goes for Mabul. Then what do you need from me? This is my favor. I came here today to show you not to forget my kindness. The moment I heard this, I knew that a problem has arisen between the Puncheon cult leader and the Chilmazon. Or maybe they weren't as close as I thought in the first place. Let's get one thing straight. So far, the religious leader has not been kind to me. What? It's not that I won't tell the 7 Mason, it's that I couldn't tell him. Because there is no evidence. Are you going to go to the 7 Mason and say this? I can't read Yi Gongya, so the evil beast is Yi Gongya. You can't say that because of your pride. At least I can tell you that it might be you. Then it would be more advantageous for me. That guy's skills are enough to kill a Soul Mason? The sect leader may have already taught the 9-fire demonic techniques. I can't be sure because I don't have any evidence, but I can't treat it carelessly. It will help me control the situation in the future. Instead, you disturbed me. What? The Punchan religious leader must have not expected this situation and was unable to refute anything. Do me a favor and I will gladly accept it. Instead, do yourself a real favor. Although he was put on the defensive for a moment, the leader of Punchan did not panic. He knew well the lesson of life that no decision should ever be made under unfavorable circumstances. Let me see you one more time before I leave. The moment he finished speaking, the surroundings changed and he left immediately. Looking at the back, I smiled. Because this thought came to me first rather than the smell of a conspiracy from him. Our religious leader is willing to come and show us this favor. In the large, ornately decorated room provided by the Heavenly Demon Church, there were only the Punchan religious leader, sacred objects, and the shackled man. What do you think? The shackled man, who was sitting like a stone statue in front of the sound bell, raised his head towards the Punchan religious leader. Words that other people could not even imagine came out of his mouth. You idiot, why are you asking me that? To swear at the leader of the Punchan cult like this was a crime worthy of being torn limb from limb. However, the leader of Punchan smiled and stretched out a finger as if it was a common occurrence. You are the only one in the room, so who should I ask? Ask the Shinigami standing behind you. I wonder when you'll give up. The leader of Punchan spread one more finger. When I asked, the Shinigami answered like this. I will die after you die, and unfortunately, you will not see me die. I hope you live a long time, little pig. At the man's insult, the leader of Punchan smiled happily as he extended his third finger. There are 2 left. The number of swear words or informal language a man could use toward the leader of Punchan was limited to 5 times a day. Of course, it is not because the Punchan religious leader has any taste that he is happy when he hears criticism. It wasn't because the man wearing these shackles had a better sense of smell than anyone else. The reason the Punchan cult leader spares the man despite his extreme rudeness is because he is smarter than anyone else. I didn't know at first. I never thought this man would be this smart. But I learned it after spending a long time in one room. A man's true value is not his ability to smell, but his excellent judgment and intelligence. From the day he found out that he was smarter than the soldiers of Punchyongyo, the real soldier of Punchyongyo became a shackled man. I listened to advice while swearing. Most of his advice was accurate and paid dividends over time. The Punchan religious leader did not try to make the man compliant by causing him pain. This is because the shackled man had no great regrets in life and knew that if pressure was applied to him, he would gladly choose death. Although he was a man with no regrets in life, he did not commit suicide. One day, the leader of Punchan asked the reason, but he never said a word about it. Why do I feel so bad? Would you like it to be like you? The man held the shackles in his hands and shook them as he watched the Punchan cult leader spread his 4th finger. A clanging sound echoed throughout the room. When the leader of the Punchan church flicked his finger once, the surroundings darkened and then became bright, changing the location. It was a green field. There, the leader of Punchan freed the man from his shackles. The key to unlock the shackles was worn by the head of Punchan around his neck. As the shackles were removed, the man's expression also relaxed. Once free, the man ran around frantically like a puppy on a snowy day, then looked at the sky and lay down. The leader of Punchan came and looked down at him lying down. You big-headed cult leader, won't you get out of the way? It covers the sky. It's a fake sky. The leader of Punchan extended his 5th and final finger. After all 5 opportunities were used up, the man's tone changed to polite. Sir, I miss that fake so much. Please move out of the way. His attitude changed in an instant, as if he was acting. The leader of Punchan stepped aside and asked. I followed your advice and showed favor to Prince Li. But he asked for a more specific favor. The man was looking up at the sky. His eyes, seen through his flowing hair, were clearer than ever. Will Li Gongya really be the successor? I heard that Gongya Li killed the Su Farmazan. Are you sure? If such a person cannot be the successor, then who will? Now, a young man who is only about 20 years old cannot kill the Subsoul Mason. It's a great skill, but... Are you afraid? Are you afraid that Li Gongya will kill the religious leader too? If someone else had said this, their head would have been blown off on the spot. However, the leader of the Punchan church obediently nodded. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't scared. Who can't kill the guy who killed the Mason? At some point, the leader of the Puncheon Church had been having an open conversation with the shackled man. There is another reason to catch Li Gongya. Something? Doesn't the heavenly demon cult leader know that it was Li Gongya who killed the sub-Honmazan? No. Of course you know. Kionma of his time was an extraordinary person. He is a person with big dreams. Why does such a person seem to be quiet until now? Why is that? Think. Don't just waste your time on rice. Wasn't that just a swear word? It wasn't. He just had a loud voice. Be careful. Of course. I was telling you to think about it. I don't like it. It's up to you to think. If I even thought about it, there's no reason for you to be alive, right? The man looked at the leader of the Puncheon Church and showed an expression of blatant annoyance. Still, the words spoken were polite. When an extraordinary person is silent, it means that they are preparing for something. United Jungwon. I don't know that far. In any case, this incident must have been ordered by the heavenly demon or something he knew about but pretended not to notice. Among the Palm Magians, the seer Farmazan was the most picky person in the Murim League. Just like the people of Central Plains are afraid of their religious leader. Yet, he allowed his son to kill the Soul Mason? This is because Kionma decided to replace the Parmezans one by one. Where do you think the heavenly demon will hit after replacing Parmesan with its own limbs? We all. The heavenly demon of our time will not leave us behind and go to war with the Murim Alliance. They will either push us into the vanguard or eliminate us and start a war. Shit! A wind of change is blowing in the heavenly demon church. If you can't feel the wind, you'll fall. The Soul Mason was confined to another world and died because it could not feel the wind. We must decide whether to hide behind the wall called Parmesan and avoid the wind, or hide behind the wall called Kionma. What are your thoughts? Kionma wins. The reason is, Jian Wu Jin, that great person, would never have started a fight he had no chance of winning. So, definitely stick with the engineer. First, win his favor by giving him a gift. The leader of the Puncheon Church nodded. What should I give you? Give me what I hate the most. That's how we live. Okay, no more advice. The man lying down shouted. Stop interfering and get back. Because this was the only place where the man felt free, he shouted while looking at the fake sky. Ay. Unlike the man who was trying to relieve his frustration in this way, the leader of Puncheon was lost in other thoughts with his back turned. After a while, the Puncheon religious leader decided what to give and spoke to the man. So far. The created space began to disappear. The embarrassed man jumped up and shouted. It's not possible. Please? Little bit more. You damn bastard. No. Despite the heartbreaking cries that even broke the rules, the man's freedom disappeared along with the green fields. Episode 63. After giving well. The leader of Puncheon Church came to see me again. He was waiting for me in the yard as if it were his first visit. Would you like to come in? No, go towards me. The surroundings darkened and then became bright again. The created space was a desolate wasteland. In my eyes, I saw a way to escape from this space. Because there was a bluish light on the rock in the distance. Isn't it desolate? This is my hometown. It's nice that it's quiet. Please invite me sometime. Sure. After looking at the surrounding scenery for a moment, the leader of Puncheon spoke in a calm tone. I went back and thought about it, and you're right. I haven't done you any favors yet. He took something out of his pocket and showed it to me. It was a single volume. Time-space anomaly. It's a martial art that can create a space like this. In this martial arts world, only those who have mastered the orthodox magic arts of the blood religion can perform martial arts. Now that the seer Farmazan is dead, I guess I'm the only one who can properly perform this magic attack. Something really unexpected came out. I personally did not like the magic of soul-making or witchcraft. However, I think this martial arts skill is very attractive. In an emergency, this space will save your life. The moment you enter this space, you disappear from the original world. As he said, space-time transformation technology can be used for many purposes. It can be a private space, or it can be used as an escape from a crisis at a critical moment. If that happens, you will be learning another heavenly demon defense technique. From the moment of obtaining the sound ring, which is the first material of the return method, to the blood stabilization water, to this space-time anomaly technique. I felt that I was destined to have a deep connection with the leader of Puncheon Church. How is it? Is this enough as a favor? It's almost overflowing. I held out my hand without hesitation. However, the head of the Puncheon Church did not hand over any money. It's not a favor if you expect something in return, right? When I expressed my regret, he responded, "Wouldn't it be a favor to play my card first? It was meant as a favor to present this excellent martial art without weighing this or that. What do you want?" Then, the eyes of the Puncheon religious leader turned again to the desolate land. The leader of Puncheon said as he watched the wind blowing sand up into the sky, "I don't want to breathe this dust anymore." Those words meant only one thing. Indeed, his wish was to advance to the midfield as his father said, "If you help me with that first step, the space-time anomaly is yours." I was excited for a moment, but I boldly folded my outstretched hand. The moment greed is revealed, any negotiation becomes disadvantageous. Unfortunately, that is not my decision. I know. It will be up to the religious leader to decide. This is an issue that not only the father but also the Mason should step up to. If it's about Puncheongyo, the Magans will definitely come forward. That's why I'm giving you this stipend. What specifically do you want? I have a meeting scheduled with the religious leader in 2 days. I plan to negotiate on our school's advancement to the Central League that day. At that time, you should come together and persuade the religious leader. If you promise to do so, I will give you this stipend. This means that non-payment will be given regardless of the outcome. It was truly an unprecedented condition. It was more of a gift than a condition. However, I did not accept it harshly and showed a thoughtful attitude. The method is wrong. What do you mean? No matter how much the leader and I persuade, my father will never allow the Puncheon Church to advance into the Central Plains. Then what should I do? Puncheon Bridge advances to the Central region. Unlike our school's policy of never allowing it, I don't think it's a bad thing. Unless you wanted to attack and eliminate Puncheon Bridge, there was no need to have someone who could become your enemy at any time behind your back. Like the old advice to keep your enemies closer than your friends, I believe it is better to keep Puncheon Bridge close and manage it. I didn't say anything. Then, the head of Puncheon gave me the treasure he was holding. Can I get the answer with this? That's enough. I accepted the non-payment. I felt that the leader of Puncheon was not usually a bold person. There was definitely a difference between hearing what it was about and thanking it for it, and offering it in advance. This person came here with the intention of gaining my favor. Instead of urging me to answer, he explained the level. He knew how to make a deal by giving it to me in the best possible way. Of course, I was able to create this space so quickly because I practiced for a long time. At first, I wouldn't be able to create it even if I memorized the spell all day. Even for someone with outstanding martial arts talent, it would take a few days or more than 10 days at the earliest. For someone with dull 5 senses, it may take months or they may not be able to make it even once in their life. Master, how long did it take to make it the first time? It took 3 days. 3 days means that there was considerable talent. The time taken on the first attempt is important. The shorter the time will be. Unlike other martial arts, everything about this space-time transformation technique depends entirely on the talent and understanding of martial arts of the person practicing the martial arts. How long will it take me? What if you have a body with no body and the current level of martial arts? How long can this space last? It may vary depending on your strength, but if you overdo it when you have achieved greatness, it will be about half a century. Even as I am talking to you right now, my inner strength is rapidly depleting. Can I use this space permanently? The head of the Puncheon Church chuckled at the word permanent. That empty smile contained the meaning of whether that was possible. If the amount of energy recovered here is greater than the amount maintained, wouldn't it be possible to leave the space permanently open? It is truly the dream of those who have mastered the art of space-time illusion. Among the previous generations of blood cult leaders, no one has succeeded yet. It means it's possible. If you have tremendous strength and are a martial arts genius gifted from heaven, it might be possible. I am the martial genius sent from heaven. How long will it take me to make my first one? Will it be possible to maintain this space permanently one day? What if I just take care of this expense and don't teach you the proper way? Then you will be the leader with the worst relationship with the main school and Parmesan among all the religious leaders in history. Oh, I won't be able to become a religious leader. The head of Punchin gave me a stipend. Once you learn it, get rid of it. Although he was trying hard to hide his regret, he was clearly regretting it. I will. Instead, please interpret the phrase just once. Do you want me to interpret it? Isn't this a non-standard original? Of course it is. If you're transcribing and you get even one word wrong, you'll have a problem. Are you sure you doubt me? That won't happen. If the teacher interprets it, I will be able to understand the true meaning. At that moment, a look of disapproval flashed across the face of the Punchin cult leader. But soon he readily accepted my request. Good. I will interpret the verses for you, so listen carefully. It's a very difficult martial art, so you'll have to concentrate and listen carefully. I could guess it from his attitude. This person thinks I won't be able to learn this martial art properly. That's how difficult martial arts were. However, while listening to the Punchin cult leader's explanation of the 9 structures, I realized exactly the method of space-time anomaly. He would not be able to imagine how deeply I understood this space-time anomaly from just one explanation. That's how I learned the art of space-time transformation. It was also the moment when we became temporary allies. Now tell me the answer. For Pang Cheonggyo to advance to the midfield. I added calmly, looking at him. Please intervene in Seo Hwanjin's succession fight. I am so tired after having what was mine taken away. The Punchin religious leader who entered the residence sank in his seat. I was so mentally tired. Because I had to protect my nobility as the leader of Punchin by giving something I didn't want to give. Even though the shackled man came in, he did not say hello and was just staring blankly at Yin Leizong. The leader of Punchin glanced at him. I taught Gongye Li the art of space-time transformation as you asked. I don't know if this is a good thing. The shackled man answered without turning around. Well done. The head of the Punchin church was startled by the polite words. He usually starts off by cursing, but the day he starts this politely is the day he's in a bad mood. I'll have to be careful. On days like this, swear words would always burst out at the end. Because I am a human being, there are times when I want to kill someone in one hit when I hear a torrent of insults. That should never happen. I can't imagine myself without the shackled man. It's a role to use one's head, but if the person you talk to every day disappears, you won't be able to bear the emptiness. Do you know what he proposed? I thought that of course I didn't know, but the words that Geo Mujuk said were repeated from the shackled man's mouth. I guess they told me to intervene in the Seo Hwanjin succession battle. The leader of the Punchin church was surprised when he spoke as if he had been there. How did you know? It's the best way for now. Did you know? I knew what it was. Holy shit! You know the method, so why would you waste time giving the space-time transformation technique to a master of science? The leader of Punchin remembered what Geo Mujuk had said. It may be that the disciples of the deceased Subsoul Mason have inherited all of their master's progress. Otherwise, they will definitely need the help of the sect leader. We must make a success as people who believe in the teacher and are willing to learn martial arts. If you can become the next master of the Soul Mason, you can say that you have taken the first step toward advancing into the Central Plains. After hearing it, I thought it was plausible. I was amazed that there was a method like this. But what if the shackled man also knew this? Why are you giving me such a wasteful stipend? I acted brave only in front of a sword dance performance, but I thought it was a waste to die. Say. Go ahead and say it. I went next to the shackled man and screamed. Then the shackled man looked at the leader of the Punchin church with an expression of annoyance. What? If you look at it that way, what are you going to do? I am the leader of the cult. I am the leader of the cult. Do you want to die today? Even as he shouted loudly, the leader of Punchin mentally prepared himself. This is the moment when curses will burst out. But the shackled man was calm. We didn't buy it that way. Li Gongye didn't sell that method either. What? I'm glad the leader lived. What opportunity? This is an opportunity to get Li Gongye on the cult leader's side. I don't know how many more purchases we will have to make to become a solid ally. Are you really sure that Gongye Li is such a great person? Are you really sure that you will become the next heavenly demon? I don't know. What? How will you know what lies ahead? What kind of irresponsible words are those? What do you regret for giving so much to me? Because it's a waste. I do it because it's a waste. To the shackled man, he throws away his dignity as a cult leader and reveals his true feelings. There were many times when I wanted to kill him, but it also meant that I revealed a lot of my inner feelings. What should I do now? Become friends with Mr. Lee. Do as he tells you. You have to do as you say. I don't know what kind of dark intentions Gongya Lee harbors. Stop it now. In the end, just as the Punchan religious leader had worried, the shackled man exploded and curses burst out all at once. You pathetic bastard! If you join hands with someone who has great momentum and even gives you gifts, you should think about riding on that momentum. Why are you doubting and fucking with me? If you keep thinking about other things like a fool, you will lose your mind. Do you know what the things that are killed in martial arts have in common? When it hurts, don't use it, and when you don't need to use it, use it. When you have to believe, don't believe, and when you have to doubt, just suddenly believe. That's why you lose. Don't you fold your fingers? Before I cut it off. Don't count today. Questions are over. Don't open your mouth unless you really want to kill me. When the leader of Punchan Church, who pouted his mouth, folded his fingers, a new space opened up. The shackled man spoke politely as he looked at the green field spread out in front of him and the clear sky without a single cloud. Master, what are you curious about? Just tell me. Episode 64, or if you come, come, if you go, go. The Punchan bridge returned and I tried the space-time transformation technique for the first time. I wondered how quickly I could create space. I have no intention of practicing this martial art for decades, so I just hope that the first space can be created as quickly as possible. Fortunately, while listening to the Punchan sect's explanation of the 9 strokes, I was able to understand the great meaning contained in the space-time anomaly technique, so I was able to skillfully use the true energy and perform the 9 strokes like someone who has practiced this martial art for a very long time. How much time has passed? I stood in a new space with a clear and cheerful sound ringing in my ears. It was a success. It took just 2 o'clock. They say it would take even a talented person several days, so they created a new space in an incomparably early time. I can be sure. Even my father wouldn't be able to create space this quickly. 2 examinations. By reducing this time, the day will surely come when you can freely use this martial arts like Seo Ponmazon or Punkyeon Jeoju. Learning a new martial art always brings great excitement, but the excitement that comes from space-time transformation techniques is completely different in nature. I walked slowly and looked at the space. There was nothing here when it was first created. Just as the Seo Ponmazon created the cliff and the Punchan religious leader created the wasteland, I too will be able to create the space I want in the future. But it still wasn't bad. Was it because it was a space where I could be alone, cut off from the world? Surprisingly, I felt a sense of comfort in this empty place that I had never felt before. A place where I can spend time alone without thinking about anything, away from the responsibility, effort, succession battles, firearms, human relationships, and everything else in the world that I was carrying. So it was good. Because I have my own space. But unfortunately, I couldn't enjoy this freedom for long. Perhaps because it was my first time, I wasted a lot of energy. Later, as the level of martial arts increases, the amount of internal energy that goes into it will decrease, but at this level, the internal energy is drained like pouring water into a bottomless poison. Clearing the space was easy. As soon as I recited the phrase, the cheerful sound I heard earlier came out and the space slowly disappeared. After returning to the original world, I sat down and started eating breakfast. For that short period of freedom, I had to fill my inner strength with meditation and invest 2 sessions of time, but I did not hesitate. After filling my energy, I performed the space-time transformation technique again. This time it took almost 2 hours, but I felt like it was a little faster than before. Yes, keep decreasing. So, I will also create this space in an instant. By using space-time transformation techniques, I create space, destroy it, create it again, and eliminate it. As the day went on, I fell in love with creating my own space. The time required to make even the smallest details was decreasing. Oh my God! There is such a fun martial art. This was my honest feeling. At the time when the sword dance was immersed in space-time anomaly, the Punchan religious leader and Mabul were creating a rather heavy atmosphere. Mabul came to the residence of the Punchan religious leader late at night without any message. Mabul, who was about to face Datuk, walked quickly and stood in front of the shackled man. Because Mabul was short, he was almost at eye level with the sitting man. The shackled man had his head down so I couldn't see his face. Mabul bent down and tried to look at the shackled man's face, but it was difficult because of the flowing hair. Mabul debated whether or not to lift his hair with his small hands. The leader of the Panchen church was watching this with a disapproving expression. I didn't feel good about Mabul treating the shackled man like a spectacle. However, I did not say that you should not ignore my subordinates. If that were the case, it was clear that the devil would turn himself inside out by starting with someone who had been shackled and not treated as a human being in the first place. At that time, Mabul turned around and suddenly asked, "I heard you met Li Gongya." The yellow gaze that looked at people's hearts flew in, but the leader of Panchen was not shaken at all. I need to meet him because he might become the leader of the cult someday. The leader of the cult will become an archduke. Even if he did not answer so decisively, the Panchen religious leader knew that Mabul is actively supporting the archduke. If Prince Li had the blood and sword, the Grand Duke had the demon Buddha. The situation is not necessarily like that. What do you mean? Didn't Gongya Li rise to the position of Huangqianju? Anyone can see that the heavenly demon is training a successor, right? Hey, this guy. I guess you lost your insight after just being outside. After hurting the other person's feelings by saying something he didn't need to say, Mabul continued to say what he wanted to say. I saw it the other way. Since the successor was to be the Grand Duke, another position was handed over to the Duke of Li. You should be satisfied with that. I guess that could happen. It's been a long time since I've been to Zhengwan, but it's a pity that I have to return without seeing the Grand Duke. The Panchen religious leader never revealed his true intentions to Mabul. Why do you support the Archduke? Because the Archduke will be the successor. Are you asking the obvious question? Why are you so sure? It's just my hunch. The Panchen religious leader knew that Mabul is not a person who decides such important matters based on just a hunch. He doesn't want to tell himself about things related to the Archduke. How can we be friends like this? It was the same for me too. Because I will never tell you anything important about the scientist. Look here, leader. Why are you doing that? Don't think about doing anything useless. There are many eyes watching you here too. I don't know what you're talking about. Why aren't you going back? Are you saying I'm done with my business so I can go away? I didn't mean it that way. Although the content was sharp, the tone of the two people was soft and calm. Then just leave it alone. Because I am enjoying my trip to Zhengwan for the first time in a while. Why? Do you need to pay for the room at least? If you come to someone else's house, you should stay quiet and go away. Can you poop in the master bedroom? Ha ha. Someone's dog's poop is being mistaken for mine. This is advice from a friend. Please stop causing unnecessary trouble and return to Panchen Bridge. To be honest, the leader of Panchen was inwardly embarrassed. I had no idea that Mabul would come and tell me to go back so openly. Regardless of how we felt on the inside, on the outside we were still friendly and polite to each other. If I come, and if I leave, am I the one who has to go? The tone was still calm, but the content contained in the words was the blue blade itself. Then it wasn't. The expression on Panchen's religious leader's face hardened, and the air around him suddenly became cold. Then Mabul smiled brightly. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's hard to say with a straight face that this person was just playing around. You really lost a lot of sense because you were only an SAE. Have fun and go. Let's play here for the rest of our lives. Ha ha ha. The leader of Panchen also laughed as if he had never been angry. I guess so. It seems that even people have become desolate after being exposed to so much of the desolate sand wind. Saeoe is that kind of place. I'll buy you a drink somewhere with a nice atmosphere. In a place where there are beautiful women who melt the bleakness of our religious leader like snow. Would it be okay to go to a place like that? Isn't your Buddha scolding you? The Buddha I worship sometimes appears as a colored Buddha. Sounds good. The two people looked at each other and laughed. Okay then, let's have a daily chat. Good. Mabul smiled brightly and left the room. As Mabul left, the smile disappeared from the face of the Panchen cult leader and he asked the shackled man. What do you think? You're feeling anxious. It seems that the religious leader noticed that he was trying to join hands with Li Gongya. Is that something to be so nervous about? It probably means that they are wary of Li Gongya. You're looking at it well. What should I do now? Think for yourself. Don't get into the habit of asking questions over and over again. Right now, it's a matter of life and death for me and our school. So don't be expensive. The man turned towards him and shook his shackles. The Punchan religious leader looked reluctant, but eventually opened a new space. Looking at the green fields, the man had a bright expression as if he was about to fly. The leader of the Punchan church asked as he unlocked the shackles for a lifetime with the key hanging from his neck. Why do you like this place so much? For a split second, a feeling of affection passed through the man's eyes. However, that feeling disappeared so quickly that I did not see Punchan, who was bending down to remove the shackles. Take a look at the leader being tied up in shackles all day long. Let's switch roles just for one day. I decline. The leader of Punchan gave the man some time to enjoy his freedom. The man's emotions were calm today. Was that why? The man looked out at the field and immediately gave the necessary advice. Mabul will somehow make the cult leader return. They probably use their religious leader. However, the leader of Punchan had no intention of going back easily. The intention was to use this opportunity to somehow establish a bridgehead for advancing into the midfield. What do we do? Go to Mr. Li and ask him how he can stay here. He will definitely show you how. Isn't this a method you also know? Even if I know, I have to give a gift to Master Li and listen to him. I don't understand. Why do we have to cling to this person like this? Then who are you going to cling to? For a moment, the leader of Punchan could not say anything. The heavenly demon hated him, and the Grand Duke was supported by the demon lords, including Demon Buddha. Only the blood heavenly demon has officially joined hands with Prince Li, and the rest of the Megans are either neutral or believe that the Archduke will be their successor. I was literally in a situation where I had nowhere to go. If you don't want to hang around, you can stay alone except for the birds and come and go as you please. Then, you will be able to live a good life and live comfortably for the rest of your life. If I had said it while cursing, he would have been less angry, but if I spoke politely, the leader of Punchan became more angry. Don't tickle my pride with words like that. However, the man did not care about the feelings of the Punchan religious leader. The way to win this fight is simple. Choose well and believe until the end. Simple, right? It's so simple that it's actually difficult to put into practice. Losers don't know until the end. Victory depended on whether or not these simple principles were followed. Stop nagging. Stop disciplining me. If we don't think we can keep this principle, like Mabul said, it's right for us to go back. The leader of Punchan, who was trying to get angry by telling him to shut up, calmed down. It was several times more infuriating than Mabul's, but when I heard it, it was all true. So, instead of getting angry, the leader of Punchan revealed his true feelings. I don't want to keep giving things to Mr. Li. Honestly, it's a waste. Even though it is a waste, it is too much of a waste. I continue to regret the space-time transformation technique I gave earlier. I couldn't sleep at all yesterday. Because I thought I gave it to him for no reason. No one would know that the supreme leader of Sewo Murim himself had this type of personality. And living with this kind of scolding. It's because I'm narrow-minded and greedy. When he heard these words, the leader of Punchan became very angry, but at the same time, he felt a strange sense of pleasure. I've been hiding my true nature better than anyone else, but it was like a sense of kinship with one person who knew exactly what kind of person I was. But what should I do with something that is a waste? But give it to me again. If you choose, you believe it. Please give it to me. Please give me everything. It's a waste. I don't want to give you even one. Under normal circumstances, it was a moment when a curse would have burst out of the shackled man's mouth. But today the man was calm until the end. Let's just go back and wipe the dust off the toilet and hit the paper. That's perfect for a gyoju bowl. The leader of the Punchan church bit his lip gently. He said he would get out. I'm doing this to break this soy sauce-like beef rib and get out. I will definitely establish the headquarters of Puncheonggyo Church in the central region. I will achieve with my own hands what my predecessors could not achieve. I wish he'd cursed, but the shackled man just sighed. Probably not. After that, the leader of Punchan was silent and lost in thought for a long time. It was a day when he was extremely angry, but the virtual space continued until his inner strength was depleted. Episode 65, if you refuse, you will be dragged out of the country. I went to Magashon Sojibu for work and stopped by a pub. As always, Cho-chun Bae welcomed me warmly. Welcome, Mr. Gakyu. I stopped by because I was hungry. I will make it delicious with the things you like. Cho-chun Bae, who was about to run to the kitchen, suddenly turned around and asked. Mr. Footnote. Can I ask you something? Ask as much as you want. Mr. Gakyu, you could go to a better tavern, but why do you always come to our tavern? You still don't understand that. Please tell me. The drinks are delicious, the food is delicious, and the atmosphere is nice. He knows what I like and brings me what I like without me having to say anything. The owner is handsome. Do you need any more reasons? That's enough. I will make it delicious and serve it to you. His steps were light as he ran to the kitchen with a wide smile. You won't know how important I value this place. This Magashon is the foundation of the magic island I am trying to establish. Neither the Punchan religious leaders nor the Parmesans who are here now are as important as Cho-chun Bae and the residents here. The moment I forget about this place, no matter how well I package it, it won't be easy to find something different from the Parmesans. A little while later, Cho-chun Bae brought the food. There was a commotion outside. I went to the window and looked down to see that a person had collapsed and a large man was angry in front of him. From what I could see, he was very drunk. Why are you staring at me, you bastard? I didn't glare. You glared at me. The big man did not hesitate and struck with his hand. How can this bastard lie? The man who was beaten was on his way with his family. The wife came forward and stopped him. Please stop it. Move. What a misfortune. He didn't regard her as a woman. A woman who had been roughly pushed fell to the floor, and a child of about 6 or 7 years old ran towards her. Mom. The child was so shocked when his father and mother were hit. Even though he had a child, the big man didn't quit. Instead, he got irritated when the child cried. Don't stop, you bastard. The moment when I raised my hand to stab the child. Puck! The big guy flew backwards. The man who had fallen suddenly got up and gave the big man a punch. The wife and child ran to the man. The woman was surprised that her husband had knocked down a large man. How can you? My fist went out without me knowing. The man who hit him also looked confused. Let's go. Let's do that. The family left the place to escape the mass. After they left, the big man came to his senses and woke up. You bastard! Where did you go? Find them and kill them all, including the bitch and the child. Does anyone know who that guy is? Say it quickly. The guy grabbed the person who was watching by the collar and started abusing him. At that time, I heard a voice coming from this floor. Is this something that would go that far? Hearing those words, the big man looked up in the direction where the sound came from. Who was that guy who just spoke? I was the one waving from the window on this floor. The drunk man didn't recognize me. Among the low-ranking warriors, there were countless people who did not know my face. Cho-chun Bae, who was behind him, whispered that he was a guy who usually did all kinds of mischief on the street. Even if he didn't tell me, I could tell what his usual behavior was like. There were several onlookers who recognized me, but no one warned him. Are you going to hit the father in front of the child just because they made eye contact? Where does the little blue bastard get a medal? And you bastard, I got hit too. That's what I did. If I had come forward and punished him, the child would have to live with the memory of his father and mother being beaten for the rest of his life. So, he moved the man's body as if moving an object in the air and delivered a blow. I hope that my child will remember me as a brave father. Are you going to kill your family with just one hit? Is this going to go that far? Come down. You should take care of it instead. Even so, I tried to go down. When I jumped down, the big guy took advantage of that moment and punched me. After slightly dodging the flying fist, I grabbed the guy's wrist and broke it. In an instant, my arm was twisted like laundry. Aya! It hurts! This bastard! You! Without hesitation, I bent the other arm of the guy who was running at him like a madman and crushed him. Ah! The guy screamed that he was going to die in pain. If he hadn't been drunk, he would have passed out already, but he was holding on thanks to the alcohol. Yes? Isn't this something that needs to be done like this? It's not like you're going to hit someone just because you make eye contact, you're not going to kill your family because you got hit, and you're not going to be an asshole just because you're drunk, right? So why are you doing that? Nothing needs to happen. Instead of asking for forgiveness, the man glared at me as if he were going to kill me. He spent his entire life hitting and harassing others, and until the very last moment, he failed to show even a single ounce of wisdom. You will later regret that it was because of the alcohol. Die. When I even broke the danjin of the guy who was trying to headbutt me, I fainted. I had the school's patrolling officers transport the man to Hwangkyongak. The plan was to reveal all the crimes he had committed so far and put him in prison with the maximum possible punishment. Despite his miserable appearance, people who knew him looked cheerful. I said to the people watching, "There is no law anywhere in our school that says demons can commit evil deeds. In the future, if someone like this appears among our school's warriors, look over there." I pointed to the Hwangkyongak branch across from the bar. "Report there." Everyone cheered and clapped, starting with Cho Chun Bae's applause. Without exaggerating, my popularity in Mega Village surpassed that of my father. Jo Chun Bae came and spoke with a happy face. "I will buy you food today." Then someone spoke from behind. "Can't I eat it too?" When I turned around, to my surprise, the head of Puncheon Bridge was standing there. I said while looking at Jo Chun Bae, "If you refuse, you will be dragged outside the country." Because he is the head of Puncheon Church. Jo Chun Bae opened his eyes wide with a face that looked like he was about to faint. These days, he has received many high-profile guests thanks to me, but now even the head of Puncheon Church has appeared as a guest. On this floor, I face the head of the Puncheon Church where I always Saturday. "Are you serious about what you said earlier? Just because you're a demon, you shouldn't take evil deeds for granted." "Yes. I don't think these are words that would come out of the mouth of the small sect leader of the Heavenly Demon Church. I don't like being stuck in a rut. This is what young people are like these days. After all, I was old-fashioned. Keep young people around. With an open mind. Thanks to you, Hyolkian Doma has become younger these days." "Is it? Ha ha ha," I said as I filled the glass of Puncheon Church leader, who was laughing. But I guess the rumor was wrong. "What rumor?" "I heard that the leader never takes a single step from the shrine, but I often see him outside. It was the same the last time I visited and it is the same now. The Puncheon religious leader was breaking his own principles. Perhaps you believe in the leader of the Heavenly Demon Church more than the leader of the Puncheon Church." It meant that he believed in his father. It may have been said as a joke, but it must be sincere. At least because of his faith in his father that he would not allow his sacred items to be stolen within the Heavenly Demon Church. I smiled and picked up my chopsticks. "Now, please eat." I expected that the food here would not suit the taste of the Puncheon religious leader who only eats high-end cuisine, but he emptied his plate cleanly. I thought I might be a person who is less concerned about formalities than I thought. "It tastes good. I'm glad you enjoyed it." After eating, we drank tea instead of alcohol. The leader of Puncheon not only hated accompaniments, but also said that he always drank tea right after a meal. "Have you tried the space-time anomaly technique?" "Yes. Everyone fails at first, so don't worry too much." He thought I had failed to create space. They said the first attempt would take a few days at the earliest, so I think the reason I'm here now is because I failed. It was successful. What? The space was nice. I think I will fall in love with this martial art from now on. The leader of Puncheon was extremely surprised. "You mean you've already unfolded it?" "Yes." "How long did it take to unfold?" "It took about 2 hours." The leader of Puncheon was surprised. He was so surprised that he even let out a short gasp. "Really?" He looked like he would never believe it. It seems like a martial arts skill that suits my aptitude well. Honestly, I don't believe it. Why would I lie? If you are not a martial arts genius, then... No, even if you are a martial arts genius, 2 trials are impossible. I sipped my tea, no longer insisting that it was 2 city visits. "Really?" I nodded. "Can you show me later?" For the sake of etiquette, it shouldn't have been done so persistently without trusting people. But I could understand his suspicions, so I nodded willingly. Of course. Thank you. Feeling sick to his stomach, the head of Puncheon drank the cool tea in one go. I waited a moment for him to calm down and then calmly asked, "But why did you come to see me today? I have a favor to ask you. Please tell me. Mabul is trying to send me back to Seo. Why? It's because of you. It's because of me. I'm on guard for fear that you and I might join hands. So give me a reason to stay." It occurred to me that that wasn't the only reason why he came to me. How do you know whether I can make a cause or not? This is an excuse to get closer to me. There is a way to check if that is really the case. What will you give me in return? The relationship between us is rough. There is still no relationship between the religious leader and me. There was one transaction. I didn't give any space. You have to show a thorough attitude to make a deal with him advantageous. That's why I told you that I opened the space-time transformation technique after 2 visits. To give you infinite trust that you can trust me. What do you want? Can I choose one of the new items you brought? At that moment, the expression of the Puncheon church leader hardened. Are you crazy? I calmly answered as if asking a question. It's probably not as bad as the cult leader who is trying to advance into the midfield in this crowded situation where Majin is dead. I entered his residence with the leader of the Puncheon church. He accepted my offer. As I expected, he wants to join hands with me. Even giving him his precious belongings. This was not a favor in return, but a gift. Why on earth do you go to such lengths to join hands with me? There must have been some kind of change of heart in him. In the room, a man in shackles was sitting with his back turned to the sound bell. I thought for a moment about not being able to get him out when I was taking out the blood-stabilizing water. I thought we would never meet again in this life, but here we are again. Who is that person? When I pretended not to know and asked the Puncheon religious leader, I saw it. The way the leader of Puncheon looks at him. It wasn't the way he looked at Sohana's slave. The man also did not say anything even though the Puncheon religious leader came in. Usually, I just turn around and say hello. I was certain that this was not a typical master-slave relationship between them. He's a servant who protects the Yumrajong. Okay. The leader of Puncheon looked around at the sacred objects and spoke softly. Among sacred items, you should not ask for the sound bell and blood fire. All right. That bell is the famous sound bell of Puncheonggyo Bridge. I walked towards the sound bell as if I had seen it for the first time. The moment that brought this sound bell in my life before my regression passed by like a flash of light. It seemed like the evil spirit engraved on the bell was looking at me, saying, "Is it you again? What does it look like in person? It's amazing." Then I glanced down at the shackled man. In fact, I was more interested in this man than the sound bell. I came here as an excuse because I wanted to see him up close. At that time, the man who had his head down slowly raised his head and looked at me. I made eye contact with him through my flowing hair. He was much younger than I thought and his eyes were clear. The man lowered his head again. Although it was a very brief encounter, it was a look in their eyes that was difficult to forget. Now, let's choose. Of course. I slowly looked at the display case where the new items were placed. Of course, I knew very well what new things there were. I chose one of the new items. Give me this. At that moment, the expression of the leader of the Puncheon church hardened. Then I saw. At the very moment when the Puncheon religious leader was about to say no without realizing it, the Puncheon religious leader was shocked and closed his mouth. I could instinctively feel that this was as important as the new product I had chosen. The shackled man sent a message to the leader of Puncheon. Episode 66, either gain it all or lose it all. The expression on the face of the leader of the Puncheon church was full of regret. Given the circumstances, it was clear that the man in shackles had sent a message telling me to give him the shoes I had chosen. At such an important moment, that man intervened in the decision of the leader of the Puncheon church. Something truly unexpected happened. Do you know what you chose? I don't know, but I'm really attracted to it. The one I chose was a small egg-shaped sphere made of iron. Of course I know exactly what this is. It is neither a weapon nor a gem. What was inside this egg-like thing was important. The head of the Puncheon church lifted the sphere and touched the bottom. Then the egg opened with a click. At that moment, a strong yet heavy medicinal scent wafted out. What was inside was a red spiritual altar. Blood god Dan. It was an elixir known to be the best not only in Puncheonggyo, but also in the world. It's called the Blood God Order. Have you ever heard of it? Yes, I know it is a very precious elixir. It's not enough to say it's precious. Why didn't you take something so precious? It's something I'm saving for the future. I guess that future was me. I would never have guessed that I would choose this among so many new items. The leader of the Puncheon Church looked at the shackled man again. At that time, I saw the shoulders of the shackled man with his head down, slightly trembling. Because my eyesight had improved with the new eye surgery, I was able to see things with my own eyes. I'm sure it's sending a signal. In other words, there was no doubt that the Puncheon religious leader was following that man's instructions. Or at least we were discussing it. What kind of person is he? I became curious about the man, but I pretended not to notice. First of all, the Blood God Order was important. To give them time, I pretended not to notice and turned around to look at another new object. Next to the Blood God altar, I saw the things I wanted to have. Whether or not he could have it depended on the choices and actions of the Puncheon religious leader thereafter. After a while, the leader of Puncheon Church, who finished the discussion, made a difficult decision with a face that looked 10 years older. Good. I will give you a blood altar. Thank you. The leader of the Puncheon Church asked me, still holding the Blood God altar in his hand. I can't give it to you first this time. Tell me how to remain in the Protestant Church. It seemed like he couldn't give the blood altar willingly. This is the way. Without any time for the Puncheon cult leader to stop me, I put the blood altar he was holding into my mouth. The leader of Puncheon, who had no idea that he would eat it, opened his eyes wide. You? What are you doing? Although I was belatedly yelling, I immediately sat cross-legged. Please stand guard for a moment while the medicine dissolves. Then, with his eyes closed, he began to dissolve the medicinal properties of the Blood God altar. That's why I couldn't see how absurd the Puncheon religious leader was making. The fortune-telling of the sword dance had been going on for an hour. The Puncheon religious leader and the shackled man were having a conversation using radio waves. The man in shackles calmed down the Puncheon religious leader who was jumping up and down, threatening to kill him right away. It was the shackled man who said not to disturb one's fortune and that conversation should always be held in full voice. Ha 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 ha. Shit. Damn it. The shackled man continued to laugh loudly. On the other hand, the leader of the Puncheon Church continued to express his anger. Damn it. Should I kill this kid right now? Kill him. Kill them and make the war against the heavenly demon church a breeze. I want to see you torn to pieces by the heavenly demon. Shit. Damn it. What on earth is this? I never imagined that he would actually eat it right in front of me. The method he will propose must be an absurd method. So you didn't take it first? Kill me. Kill me. Smash your head to pieces in one fell swoop. The head of Puncheon approached Jiamujuk and raised his hand. But I couldn't bear to hit him on the head. Oh shit. After lowering his hand, the head of the Puncheon Church came and sat down next to the Yumrajong. The shackled man seemed to enjoy the sight. Damn it. I don't think the leader will ever die. Why? Because you're a coward? That's why. No, Gongya Li is much more brilliant than I thought. What are you looking at? He is even confident that the cult leader will not be able to kill him. This means that we have already figured out the leader. A person like this will give you the right answer. Do you have any guesses? I didn't know at first, but after seeing him eat the blood god Dan, I think I know what method he will suggest. What? You can listen to it for yourself later when you finish the fortune-telling breakfast. Let me know. The leader must not have marks on his face. I never lost money gambling when I was young. There is no gambler who can show off his skills in front of the successor of Puncheongyo. Joy! The leader of Puncheon was at least relieved. The man in shackles called the leader of the Puncheon Church with ease, as if speaking to a friend. It's the leader. Oh, here we go again. Am I your friend? Just give it all. I can give it all. Are you serious? Up until now, I had only judged Li Gongya based on the information I received. However, when I saw it in person today, the information so far was underestimated. Do you see that with your eyes? See. Why can't I see? That's because I'm greedy. Shit. Okay, let's say so. Let's say I was so greedy that I covered my eyes. So? If you give it all, what about me? You can live in Jungwon. That was a dream, right? You said you would let me live in Jungwon? You have the heart to let me live, so you take it like that. What if I don't keep my promise? We'll have to go around begging like beggars, holding broken goods. Don't worry. I will feed you. What? I'll drag you in shackles and sell you some medicine. The leader of Pungcheon sighed. What if Duke Lee loses the succession battle and dies? Isn't that what it means to risk your fate and invest in someone? Either get it all or lose it all. Are you doing this to destroy me? Do you understand that now? The shackled man smiled strangely. It was difficult to tell whether he was serious or joking. It's the leader. Do not speak informally. It's been a long time since I passed the fifth today. I understand you. You have to throw it away to gain it. Neither the religious leader nor I are fortunate enough to have everything without throwing anything away. A person like that is like the scientist sitting over there. Shit. Eventually, the sword dance performance ended. Jiamujuk opened his eyes and his expression was bright. Even so, his clear eyes became deeper and deeper, making it difficult to guess how much power he had. But soon the deep-set eyes changed to resemble those of an ordinary person. The leader of Pungcheon was startled by the change in his eyes. How deep is the attack power? Sword Dance had nothing to hide from himself. It seemed like this. I am this strong, so please believe and follow me. Compared to the strength shown, the Sword Dance was polite. He bowed his head and expressed his gratitude. Thank you. You really have a lot of liver. You stole the elixir and had a fortune-telling breakfast in front of it. Stealing an elixir? I received an elixir in return. In return? What does it mean? Didn't I tell you before taking blood Shindan? The leader said the way to stay here is for me to eat this. What does that mean? Please come to Hwangkyonggak tomorrow and report. The elixir was stolen. You can stay here until we find the elixir. Only then did the leader of Pungcheon realize the intention of the sword dance. But if we investigate, it might turn out that there was no robbery. The place where the investigation is conducted is Hwangkyonggak, where I am the head. We will proceed with the investigation as slowly as possible until the cult leader achieves his goal. Ah! The expression of the Pungcheon church leader brightened. Since a thief broke into the inner temple of the heavenly demon church, he had a justification for not having to leave this place. Additionally, since Jiamujuk will be in charge of investigating the incident, there will be no need for it to be discovered as a self-made drama, and there will be no unnecessary friction in the process of finding the culprit. It will be up to me and the leader to decide on the date of your return. Ah. There was that meaning. Then I'll just go. Thank you again from the blood gods. When the sword dance left there, the leader of Pungcheon asked the shackled man. Did you know? I knew it the moment Lee Gongya ate the blood god altar. The shackled man's attitude became polite again. The leader of the Pungcheon church looked down at the empty shell that stored the blood god altar and said, but did Gongya Lee know in advance that this was a blood god? Of course. You understand. Would you have picked it up just because it looked pretty? Did you really believe that? No. However, the leader of Pungcheon believed that for a moment. Because I thought there was no way Lee Gongya would know his secrets inside out. How did know? Because he is of this caliber, the religious leader is giving him a gift. The leader of the Pungcheon church nodded. Still, I felt fortunate that there was a man with shackles. On the other hand, I felt resentful because all of this was happening because of the shackled man. Still, the blood god order is such a waste. It was the leader of Pungcheon who was beginning to feel regretful again. I slept all night tonight. I'm telling you for the 100th time that I didn't give it to you because he showed me the way. Even if I give everything to you, if things don't work out, you will die and I will die. A man grinned through his messy hair. You promised to kill me and make sure I die. Shut up. The Pungcheon leader had empty courage and the man was shackled and the two people fell into their own agony. The next day, shocking news hit the campus. It was news that thieves had entered the residence of the leader of the Pungcheon church and had stolen his sacred items. I told that story to everyone I met. It was surprising that a thief broke into the inner garden, but what everyone was curious about was what kind of sacred item was stolen. However, it was not revealed what the stolen item was. The school was noisy about the incident, but the atmosphere at Keon Majian was actually calm. This is because Simon Ming, the commander-in-chief, was seeing this situation clearly. It looks like the Pengchen religious leader is making a play of his own. According to our surveillance network, not only has no one broken into the Pengchen cult's residence, but in order to steal a sacred object, one must have at least a Mason-level skill, but as far as I can tell, there is no one with that level of skill who can target the Pengchen cult's sacred object. Upon hearing Sima Ming's report, Heavenly Demon GM Wujin believed everything he said. Why are you making a play? I guess they want to stay at our school longer. I will insist that I will not go back unless I find the sacred item. Why on earth don't you want to go? Is it because of that incident? You're right. It looks like they want to use this opportunity to negotiate about Pengcheongyo's advancement into the central region. The second one intervened in this case, right? Yes. It seems that the leader of Pengchen Church asked Li Gongye for a way to remain. The investigation into this incident will be conducted at Hwangkyongak, so the leader of the Pengchen Church will be able to stay at the school for a while. You did quite a bit of thinking. A faint smile appeared on GM Wujing's lips. What is the relationship between the Pengchen cult leader and the Magans? It's not that good. After our first meeting with the Masons after arriving, we have not seen each other even once. The only thing I could do was meet Mabul, who I'm close with. How should I do this? Sima Ming answered calmly. It would be better to pretend not to notice for the time being. Sword Wujin pondered for a moment and Sima Ming waited for him to make a decision. Sima Ming guessed the thoughts of the religious leader. The reason the decision is not made immediately is because it is related to Pengcheongyo. Because the religious leader was not pleased with Pengcheongyo's advancement into the central region. Nevertheless, the reason for such concern may be because Li Gongye was involved. Eventually, GM Wujin made a decision. Let it be so. Yes. I politely bowed my head and turned around to come out, but Sima Myong said to GM Wujin. If the Pengchen cult leader and Li Gongye join hands, Mabul will not just stay. It will probably attract the Archduke in earnest. In Sima Ming's judgment, the reason the Grand Duke tolerated the recent rise of Li Gongzi may have been because he was aware of the religious leader's intentions, but it was also because he was still confident that he would be the successor. However, if GMU Duke joins forces with Hyolkian Doma and Iltwa Geomjin, as well as Pengchen cult leader, we won't be able to just watch it any longer. GM Wujin nodded silently with an expression of understanding. Sima Ming slowly walked down the bloody path, leaving behind Sword Wujin, who was alone in his thoughts. He was curious. What decision will the leader make? Will the Archduke return and allow him to jump into the fray? Will he somehow stop the brothers' fight? Everything depended on the will of the heavenly demon.